Hi everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to a Loveseat.
Welcome.
This is episode 5.
Wow. May of 2020.
May. But welcome to a Loveseat. Tonight we are going to talk about something that is very interesting. It's trending right now. Believe it or not, there's something else trending besides COVID, and it's labeling, how we label each other.
Yeah.
Labels.
Yeah. Labeling, and whether it's healthy or harmful. And, this conversation came up between us because Sunny was watching an episode of some TV show or something that you were watching. And all these titles, all these labels came up. And of course, that sparked our conversation around labels and whether they're harmful or helpful.
Right.
And so we definitely want you to go ahead and put in the chat and put in our message. Send us a message. What do you think? Like right off the bat, are you someone who uses labels to label people, your emotions, your thoughts, to label situations? And do you think that they're healthy or harmful?
Hashtag no labels.
Okay, so she's on the no labels. She's on the no labels. So tell me, babe, like, what is it about labeling that you think, because then if you're hashtag no labels
Hashtag no
or
labels.
hashtag labels.
It's interesting because when I spoke of you, we were somewhere public, and it was the first time that I was asked who you were or something, and I was like, that's my girlfriend. But I wasn't necessarily into the label of a lesbian. So I think there's a t-shirt that says like, I'm not a lesbian, but that's my girlfriend or something like that.
What my girlfriend is, or my wife is. Or...
And I think it speaks to labels or no labels. That whole idea of that t-shirt, like, I don't want that label, but it's my truth. But
so let me ask you this. So you're a hashtag no labels. How about hey, Sunny's beautiful. That's a label. Sunny's a millionaire.
Yes.
Sunny's wealthy. Sunny is sexy. Sunny's beautiful. Like, those are labels. So how is it that you can say hashtag no labels when you're like, oh, bring those on? Like, yes, I can identify with those.
Because of course I can identify with positive labels.
So maybe it's hashtag no negative labels.
Ooh, hashtag positive labels. Yes. Yes. I mean, yeah, that's what I think. I think they're harmful at times and they're helpful at times. I mean, they're helpful in identifying something or someone, and then they're harmful when they, it's kind of like the intention or the motive behind it. Even when there's like, what do you want to say? Like, statistically speaking, which is like no emotion, it's helpful to, like the census, for example.
I was just going to bring that up. As someone I worked in the 2010 census.
Jeez,
I'm working.
2010?
I worked in the 2010 census.
Oh
I'm on board for the 2020 census. And sure enough, when we talk about race, ethnicity, age, socioeconomic status,
Exactly.
when we talk about national status, I mean, those are all labels.
Right.
That are, in my opinion, helpful.
Right.
See, because here's the deal. Like, when you see me, I want you to see all of me. I don't want you to say, oh, I'm colorblind, for instance.
Exactly. That
Like,
always bugged me.
I don't
the color.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't see a color. Then you don't see me.
But that's a label.
Well, in that case, I don't feel seen if you don't see a color. Like, how could you not see a color? I'm like, right here, hello. That's how I felt about that.
Well, this is the same with, how can you not see my maybe gender, my sexual orientation, my age, my height, my weight. I mean, there's all of those things that
So when are they bad? Those are all helpful. When do you think it's bad?
Well, how about I was waiting to get there.
I've got to know, because all of these are positive. I'm curious.
Well, I think that labels are necessary.
Yeah.
So, Puerto Rican, black, Latina, white.
Latina.
I think
Moreno.
Morena, Boricua, Morena, Boricua, Morena. I think that what happens is when folks associate, because of our stereotypes and prejudices, when we associate
That's
these
it.
labels with negative actions, or we strip people of their individuality because
Right.
of them, I think that that's when it can be harmful.
I do too. Stereotypes always get you in trouble. You know, you assume something and you know what that's all about.
But
But it's true. It's kind of, I've had people talk to me and they feel it necessary when telling a story like, so this black guy at work, just random hand kissing, I love it. This black guy at work, this guy at work with this black guy. And then it just feels like unnecessary. I don't know. To me, it feels now, I can't say that person isn't painting a picture.
well, it depends, right? Because when we use race or ethnicity or color and things like that to describe someone, it's going to depend to whether we're painting a picture or whether we're actually expressing our own hidden bias.
True.
Our implicit bias. So, for
Yes.
instance, like that time our neighbor who works at the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
We
Poor
were
baby.
we were having conversation with our neighbor, and she was talking about the new manager and said, she's black, but she's so cool because
I
ta ta
couldn't
ta ta ta
believe
ta ta
it.
ta ta, and it was like,
She's
whoa,
black,
but she's cool, and it was almost like, what do you mean black?
She walked
but
into the-
she's cool.
she walked into this socially aware
Group.
porch at the
Yeah.
wrong time.
I think that when folks say that, or when things of that nature happen, that there's microaggressions, that there's a lot of there's implicit bias and things of that nature, right? So I don't think the labels themselves are bad unless they are labels that are used to defame or to degrade, like you're lazy, you're a piece of crap, dingleberry. I remember,
Yeah, I know what that means now.
So when there are labels that are used to consciously devalue people,
Yes, of course.
they're not necessary.
But here's the thing. When someone keeps, let's say someone's always telling you a story about something that happened at work, and they're always identifying the person they're talking to as black or white or Asian or, just always. It can never be just about people, It has to be about that. They have to mention that. Well, I find, now this is long term, so I've spoken to the person a lot, and I find that it doesn't add any value to the story. It's not like they're going to imitate, or there's a reason. I mean, sometimes when you're imitating somebody and you're colorful like I am when you're describing, then, I want to paint the picture as clearly as possible. Because as an actor, I want to imitate the walk and the talk and the whole nine. But is it really necessary? No, it's not. I have found with that person, they want to keep identifying. I don't know why. To say, hey, I talked to black people at work, or I talked to Asian people at work, or I don't know. I need to ask. Because it's curious. I have asked. I don't remember the answer right now, but it's like, what does it matter? And I think, she said, well, I'm just telling, it's just, he's really nice. And it was not, it was an unsatisfactory answer to me. So it was like,
we have a friend, Sonny Cantrell Smith, who has a keen ear for that. Like whenever we're talking about folks that we might call hillbillies or people from the South, it's interesting because she has an ear to all of a sudden how people's accents change and they start talking like, or, trying to speak country or speaking black, or, it's interesting how labels then cause folks to kind of change up a little bit of what they're
It's
doing,
funny you
and
use
whether
Sunny,
it's well, yeah,
because she says she's what, your sister.
yeah, that's my sister from another mister. I love you,
So-
dog. I love you, dog.
Love
Shout out to
you,
Sonny Cantrell
Sonny.
Smith. But here's my bottom line on things,
Yeah.
and that is, labels are used to describe, not to define. So in other words,
Ooh,
I am
snap.
not. What? Did you like that?
I like it.
Labels are used to describe, not to define. So my labels don't define me. They might describe me. But the
Right.
moment we use words anyway to describe somebody, we're already putting them in a
Yep,
box,
in a
in a
box.
circle, in a triangle, whatever shape you like.
Adjective.
I'm trying to be inclusive here.
It's just an adjective, but yeah,
It-
when it's not an adjective, then it is detrimental
Yeah.
to both people, because there's a, you limit the good that you could know about that person or those people, and then you're like, boxing them in and minimizing who they are.
Right.
So it doesn't work either way.
I think that
In
that
that
has
case.
happened with you in a sense, when we try to like narrow down
yeah.
who you are and how you show up, because you are an IFBB pro, you are a fitness trainer and consultant and guru and
Guru.
but you're also a talented singer and performer and actor. And the minute someone tries to just say Sonny the trainer, it's just like all of a sudden all of your artistic talents and who you are and how you show up in the world now just get minimized to Sonny the trainer or Sunshine the minister.
It's interesting though, because I remember when we were at Agape, and I think it was Ricky Byers who said, you're not just a country singer. You can sing everything. You're just a singer. And it changed my direction, because I was quite content being labeled a country singer. And I took a lot of time and effort to wear that label, because I didn't think it was. In my mind, it was a label that was earned. Like, you sing good country music and you write good country music, and therefore, you could call yourself that.
Yeah.
And so it threw me off, to tell you the truth. I liked the label. And then once I was like, I could sing anything, it was like, oh, I don't really like that. I like that narrow road.
So we have a lot of our viewers and followers who are parents. And growing up, what were some of the labels as a kid that you were called, maybe that you found that were helpful, and maybe some of the labels that you found that are harmful? And then I'll share some of mine.
No, I want to hear yours first.
Why did I know you were going to say that?
Because you know.
Well, it's interesting because, my dad died when I was 4, and my dad was tall, dark, and handsome.
Very
and my mom, short, light-skinned, beautiful, and my grandmother, light-skinned as well. But now that my dad died, and I'm 4, and I'm living with my grandmother and my mom and my younger sister, they're all very fair-skinned.
Mm-hmm.
We're from Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, la isla de encanto. At any rate, they would call me La Negra Prieta.
Pretty negro.
No, they would call me
Pretty
like
black.
No, not pretty. La Negra means the black one, and Prieta means dark. So like the black blackie, the dark blackie.
Oh, I thought it was pretty blackie.
No, there was no pretty up in there. But the way they said it
Was endearing.
was endearing. It was a
Yeah.
term of endearment. So I took it as a term of endearment, but it was interesting because my doctor was from India. My pediatrician was from India, and he was dark skinned too. And behind his back, they used to call him El Negrito. So one day we bumped into him like on the subway, and they said, "Look, honey, do you know who this is?" And I said, "Yes, El Negrito." And they were so embarrassed. Like, because that's not his name, but that was the label
Right.
that they gave him, right? So when they were embarrassed about that, and I had a very similar name, it was like, wow, well, what does
Uh-oh.
that
Now
say
I'm
about me?
self-conscious.
I'm self-conscious because now all of a sudden the name for me, that label
Yeah.
that I was given, because it wasn't my name, but that label now just, it meant something different.
Right,
And
exactly.
what I started noticing was that my skin color was different from my mom, different from my grandmother, different from my sister,
Closer
different from
to
my
the
cousin,
pediatrician.
closer to the pediatrician. And so I began to just kind of notice the difference. And here's the deal, is that we're all different anyway. The thing is that we've been making different a bad thing or a
Exactly.
negative thing. Difference is beautiful.
Thank God for difference.
I think like of a bouquet of flowers, and I
Right.
love the difference and the variety in the bouquet.
I have always appreciated differences.
Yeah.
I have always appreciated differences.
So in that sense, you know, the label that I was given growing up, La Negra Prieta, or sometimes even, you know, just out of terms of endearment, you know, I would say to some family members and even a good friend of mine who is nowhere near dark skin
so
at all,
weird, right.
I will call her Negrita. Mira, Negrita, come over here. Mira, Negrita.
Term of endearment.
Right? Because it was just like, it was a term of endearment, love. But that label, it has some
Yeah.
negativities and some positivities. And for me, you know, growing up, that was a label that I was given that meant love, but then also meant I'm an outcast. I'm different than everybody
yeah.
else. After I found out that they used to call after I found out how they reacted
Right.
when I saw the doctor.
Exactly.
How about a label for you?
It's so the opposite. I was called I was called a white girl. I was called banana, yellow, and they were not
Endearment.
The the term of, I mean, you know, we all had nicknames, you know, and Pookie and them. So mine was Poo Poo. And you would think Poo Poo would be bad, but Poo Poo, I loved it because my granddaddy called me Poo Poo, you know, and my other granddaddy called me Lil Mama. So those two were cool. Now my aunts and uncles are the ones who like, oh, come here, little banana. Come here. Oh, look at that little yellow girl. Oh, where's your blonde hair? You know, and it was like, why am I being made to feel bad about who I am? Like, I didn't see anything wrong with me, my complexion.
Right.
I didn't see a big difference until they pointed it out.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I was self-conscious from then on, and they never let up.
So it yeah, and you know,
I
especially
knew they loved me.
especially in Black and African American families, being called yellow is not a compliment. Is, you know,
Well, it is, but not to me. It's supposed to be a compliment.
I don't think
But-
so. Not in my experience. Like, you're
Yeah.
not black enough, you banana.
Oh, well, in that case, but has so many connotations. Now
This
you
is
get into
true.
shadeism
Yes.
and colorism, because in that case, no, it's not good when you're saying, oh, you ain't black enough. But when you're considered like yellow or light, and I wasn't even light as my cousin Eggy was her nickname. I wasn't even
Egg? Eggy, like an egg?
Eggy, yeah.
Like a brown
She
egg
was
or a white
shaped
egg?
like an egg.
Oh, she was shaped. Not her shape. Okay. See that? Eggy.
But Eggy was lighter than me, and I never knew her to be, you know, made fun of. So I think there is a thing like light is cool, but I didn't get that.
Yeah.
I mean, there is
Well-
that in there, you know, like, oh, if you're light, you're cool, but no, I didn't get that. I just wanted to be, you know, me.
And
really, or cool. Call me fierce. Call me like, but I did get those labels. I did get like, oh, you're so brave, or look at you, you could do anything. Look at you, go out there, look at that daredevil. She could do anything. She ain't scared. Fearless. I used to get that a lot. So I got, you know, labels that I liked and labels that I didn't like.
So and that's why I bring it up, because of course, you know, there's all kinds of defenses that we can jump on with labels that we like and don't like. But, with that, like when parents say, oh yeah, my son Johnny, or my daughter Sarah, or my kid so-and-so is a handful. It's almost like this self-fulfilling prophecy, or they're the Tasmanian devil.
I don't
Look at
like
them,
those.
or they are so hyperactive, or they are
Yeah.
so such and such and such.
I don't like always, first of all.
Well,
Because then you're like pointing that person into something that they're really not always.
especially children, right? But
Right.
isn't it a self-fulfilling prophecy? Like,
It is.
My little kid's a Tasmanian devil, or they're in their terrible twos. And
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I had a lot of fearlessness because of that when I was growing up, for sure. I never backed down from a fight because I was told, that I was like, oh, look at her. She's not scared. Oh, look at her, fierce. That's right. And so I had to live up to that. I felt like it was a something that I did. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. It was.
so in labeling, then,
But it could be
especially
bad.
children,
Yeah.
especially children, when we label children or when we label each other, if we're not clear that it describes and doesn't define us, it actually becomes what we look for, like the terrible twos. Just because your child turns 2 years old doesn't mean that they're going to be terrible. They might be the sweetest things, but it also just speaks to the power of the word.
Yes, my word is my wand.
My word is my hashtag. My word. Are you a fairy now?
Hashtag my word is my wand. It goes like this. Ding.
Say more about that.
No, it's like it doesn't define me. It describes me. It's like my word is the manifestation. So if I speak it, then I create it. And that's why we have to be so careful around each other, but especially children, because we are creating that for them at the same time they're creating their own reality, And so my word is my wand, and I can make you believe anything if you're a kid. It kind of sucks, That's why it's like encourage, positive, boost them up, tell them they can be anything. I just got a book that says you can be anything, and it names all of these different things for my nephew. Yeah, it was one no cookie cutter. Just like you could be a doctor, you could be a veterinarian.
Okay.
You could be a dentist.
So
all those are doctors. Right?
So yeah. So now check this out, and then this is kind of my last kind of, I think, point. I don't know.
All right, let me hear.
I don't know. It might not be. When we think about Black lesbians or the LGBTQI community, and folks who want to use gender pronouns, refer to me as she, him, his, or hers, or they, or Z, or Q, or those are considered labels as well. And sometimes people don't want to be boxed into a particular label around sexuality and gender. Where are you with that?
It's interesting. It's like seeking for no label through a label. So it's kind of like, don't define me by calling me this.
Yeah.
So I think in that case, it's like, don't define me as the norm. So if I cannot be the norm, then I'm not falling into a typical box. But it's a box nonetheless. But it's like, it's not the typical box. It's not, don't call me just because I look like a girl. Don't call me she, her. Call me them. Okay. So it's like a box, not box.
Because even when I'm gender non-conforming to the gender or the sex,
Right.
or then I'm called this other label.
Exactly.
So seeking to be labeled without labels. But I think that goes back to exactly what I'm talking about, is that the labels that we use, the moment we label something, it it limits it.
Hello.
It limits it because, but
It
here's the
shrinks
other
it.
thing,
Yeah.
because I used to teach this all the time as well, is that words don't have meaning. People give words meaning.
Yes.
Like Michael Jackson made bad mean good.
Yes.
You know, or we can say dope and it can mean drugs, or it can
Exactly.
mean that it's, you know, badass,
that's fat.
or you selling some dope, you know, you selling some weed, whatever. So words don't have meaning. People give them meaning.
Right.
Just like the word queer today is a word that back in the day was not a cool word to call gay people. And now the gay community embraces it, and
Right.
it's now the bigger label, the queer community, which also includes heterosexual allies
Right.
as the queer community, because you know.
And you have the N-word. So
Okay,
the N-word.
the N-word.
Oprah,
No, you went there.
I had to.
Okay.
I'm gonna go a step even higher than that. I'm gonna go over Oprah.
Okay.
Because Oprah and Jay-Z had that conversation where Jay-Z was like, "This is how we communicate. This is our generation. It's cool with us. This is what it means with us." But she, in her generation, in her understanding of it, is it means something different. It'll never be cool. It'll never be okay. Mm-hmm. And so that's on that tip. And then a step further than that, to minimize it, when they speak of God, they don't say the word. What is that? The Jewish
In the
faith?
Jewish tradition,
They do not say it because it's going to minimize it. It's like it's too sacred, and my word is going to shrink it, and it's too vast and omnipresent for that.
yeah.
So there's that.
Well,
As well. Labels.
we can go on.
Labels.
Yeah, we can go on and on
like
about this.
Right.
But I definitely want to hear from our viewers on what you think. Yeah, what you think about it. You know, whether labels are harmful or hurtful, whether you use labels to describe or define. And for me, as long as I'm not using labels to define someone, as much as I'm using it to describe and to paint a picture, so that it gives some information, but it doesn't limit the allness of an individual. For me, labels are just words to describe one another or people, places, and things. They're not used to define.
So let me hear from you all about what you think maybe a label you got when you were younger that you consider now a self-fulfilling prophecy, like they said you were bad and now you've been bad. Or you're so smart and you really tried to live up to that, and it was pressure and it was something that wasn't really you. So I'd love to hear comments about that, about the labels and how they serve or hurt.
Yeah. And, if there are labels, if we got this all wrong, it's possible. Or if we got it all right, it's possible. Because I'm reminded of that childhood rhyme, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt you. That's not true. Because, words are sometimes meant to really, really hurt. So, if there's some labels that you've been hurt by, we're encouraging the healing of that, for sure. And to just know that you are more than any label that anyone could have ever laid upon you. I did a talk once, my very, very first talk, and we'll end with this, and that is, don't let the title fool you. Yeah,
that was good.
And what I meant by that talk, and what I meant there was, we have all these titles: Reverend, Minister, IFBB Pro, Trainer, Doctor, Mama, Daddy, son, daughter. We have all of these labels, all of these titles. But who you really, really are is the unique and unrepeatable way that life is showing up on this planet.
Absolutely.
And your title, what people call you or what you call yourself, like, we are so much more. I love Ricky's song, I am more than this. I am more than this. I am more than my label.
More than the crying.
Yeah,
more than all these.
I am more than that.
Adjectives.
And so are you. So we'd love to keep the discussion going. But this is the end of this episode. We want to invite you to subscribe, follow, and like us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And make sure that you tune in to our June episode that's going to be airing on June the 4th. It's going to be dropping on Facebook Live and YouTube and a little bit on Instagram too. You'll get some sneak peeks on there.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say?
Stay tuned. We'll be offering up a fitness tip, so you don't want to miss that. And I would say I would like to know a subscriber who subscribes themselves and then gets 5 friends to subscribe with them. And we'll have something special for you too.
Uh-oh. Wow. That's your challenge.
What?
Subscribe and get 5 friends to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And Sunny's got a special surprise for you. I can't wait. I like the special surprises she gives me, but I think you'll get something a little bit different. Anyway, until then, we love you. Mwah.
Peace.
Let's talk about it.
On a Loveseat.